Wind howled through rusted steel beams. Ryan, a mechanic and volunteer rescue worker, searched for survivors trapped under collapsed construction after the massive storm. Metal clanged, then a weak voice called out, "Help me!" He shone his flashlight, saw a hand wearing a diamond bracelet reaching from concrete rubble. He used a crowbar, pulled her out. Blood pooled on the cement floor, breathing labored and irregular. He pressed his hand to her neck, voice wenting, "You have to breathe, do you hear me?" Her eyes opened slightly, lips trembling. "Ryan." He froze completely. She was Amelia Cross, the woman who'd destroyed both his career and his marriage. Ryan Cooper, 38 years old, formerly an aerospace mechanical engineer at Aerosys Corporation, a tech conglomerate led by CEO Amelia Cross, 33. 6 years ago, he'd been falsely accused in a helicopter testing accident that killed a pilot. Amelia, then head of the project, had signed Ryan's termination to protect the company's reputation, even though she knew he was innocent. Ryan's wife, overwhelmed by the media siege and public shame, had a stroke. She died when their daughter Lily was only 4 years old. After that collapse, Ryan left the city, lived with Lily in a small house in suburban Seattle, working as a mechanic repairing farm equipment. He was quiet, focused only on teaching his daughter to live with integrity, even when the world showed them contempt. The years had been hard, rebuilding a life from nothing while grieving a wife and raising a daughter alone. There were nights he'd sat on the porch after Lily fell asleep, wondering how to keep going. But he did keep going, for her, because she needed him, because Sarah would have wanted him to. He'd taken odd jobs at first, whatever paid, fixed tractors for farmers who didn't ask questions about his past, repaired equipment for small businesses, built a reputation slowly, one satisfied customer at a time. The town he'd moved to was small, rural, the kind of place where people mostly minded their own business, perfect for disappearing. Lily had grown up here. She didn't remember Seattle, didn't remember the reporters camped outside their house, didn't remember her mother's funeral. Sometimes Ryan was grateful for that. Sometimes it broke his heart. The night the storm hit, Ryan was at home with Lily, watching the weather reports with growing concern. Category 4 winds, flooding warnings, evacuation orders for coastal areas. His phone rang at 11 p.m., the volunteer rescue coordinator. "Ryan, we need you. That old Aerosys site collapsed. Lightning strike. We think there might be people trapped." His blood went cold. "Aerosys?" "Yeah, the abandoned construction. Some urban explorer types might have been inside when it came down." He almost said no, almost said he couldn't. The name Aerosys still made his chest tight, even after 6 years. But he'd taken an oath when he joined the rescue team, to help anyone who needed it, no exceptions. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He kissed Lily goodbye. She was asleep in bed, clutching the worn stuffed rabbit that had been her mother's. The drive was treacherous, rain so heavy his wipers could barely keep up. Wind buffeting the truck, roads flooding. When he arrived at the site, it looked like a war zone. Steel beams twisted into impossible angles. Concrete slabs pancaked on top of each other. Smoke from electrical fires mixing with rain. "We've got multiple reports of a distress signal from inside," the coordinator told him. "Phone GPS, but the structure's unstable. It could come down further at any moment." "How many people?" "We think just one." Female voice, from what dispatch heard before the call cut out. Ryan grabbed his gear, flashlight, crowbar, first aid kit, the same equipment he'd used dozens of times before. "Be careful in there. This building was already condemned. The collapse made it worse." He nodded, moved toward the entrance. The building had been abandoned for 3 years, part of an expansion project Aerosys had started when money was flowing, then canceled when investors got nervous. The structure had been left half-finished, exposed to the elements, slowly deteriorating. Ryan had heard rumors it was structurally unsound, that the company had cut corners during an initial construction, that inspectors had been paid to look the other way. Now those sins had literally collapsed. Inside, it was dark except for his flashlight beam cutting through dust and rain. Water dripped from broken pipes. Electrical wires sparked dangerously overhead. He moved carefully, testing each step, listening. Then he heard it. Weak, barely audible over the rain and wind. "Help! Someone help me!" He followed the voice, over rubble, under tilted beams, through spaces that were more crawl space than corridor. His flashlight found her, a hand first, reaching from under a concrete slab. Delicate fingers, manicured nails, diamond bracelet covered in mud and blood. He worked frantically, used the crowbar to lift the slab just enough, pulled her free, careful of her injuries. And then he saw her face. Time stopped. Amelia Cross, the woman who'd destroyed his life, who'd signed the paper that ended his career, who'd chosen corporate protection over human decency, whose actions had contributed to his wife's death. Here, in his arms, broken and bleeding. For a moment he considered letting go, walking away, leaving her to the same fate she'd left him 6 years ago, but only for a moment. Because he wasn't her, wasn't capable of that kind of coldness, wasn't willing to become what he hated. She opened her eyes, looked at him with recognition dawning, and with it, shame so profound it was almost physical. "Ryan, I'm so sorry. Don't talk, save your strength. I should have protected you. I should have..." "I said don't talk." He checked her vitals. Weak pulse, breathing labored, head wound, leg clearly broken, possible internal injuries. Called for the medical team, held her head stable, kept her conscious with his voice. "Stay with me. You're going to make it. Just breathe." She whispered, "I didn't expect to see you here." He said nothing at first, just, "Keep breathing. I'm not saving you because of the past, but because you're a human being who's alive." The words cost him, but they were true. This was who he was, who Sarah had raised him to be, who he wanted Lily to see when she looked at him, and not someone ruled by revenge, someone ruled by principle. Ryan washed his hands in the hospital bathroom later, looked at blood on his shirt, said quietly to his reflection, "No one deserves to be buried alive, not even someone who buried me." Amelia woke in the hospital. The doctor said her survival was miraculous, but she had severe leg injuries that would require months of rehabilitation. The first person she saw was Ryan, sitting in a chair in the corner, shirt still stained with oil and dry blood. She wanted to thank him, but couldn't find words. The shame weighed heavier than any injury. He simply said, "I told the rescue team you needed special monitoring. Don't say anything, just rest." Several days later, media began reporting about CEO buried alive at abandoned construction site. Suspicions of sabotage emerged. Amelia knew someone inside the company wanted her dead. She'd been preparing to release an internal investigation report about corruption within Aerosys. Ryan heard this and just smirked. Still your world, where people kill each other for power. But when he left, Lily ran in carrying a bag of fruit. "Hi, I'm Lily. Dad says you need vitamins to get better." Amelia laughed through tears. The girl was maybe 10 now, bright-eyed, kind, completely unaware of the history between them. "Thank you, Lily. That's very sweet. Dad says everyone deserves to heal, even if they did bad things before." The words were innocent, but they cut deep. After Lily left, Amelia lay there thinking about Ryan, about what she'd done to him, about the cost of her cowardice 6 years ago. She'd known he was innocent, had seen the data showing the helicopter crash was due to faulty parts from a subcontractor, had known the real culprit was James Vick, the CFO who'd approved those parts to save money. But when the board demanded a scapegoat, she'd given them Ryan, because she was new to the CEO position, because she was scared, because she'd chosen institutional loyalty over personal integrity. And Ryan's wife had died because of it. The stress, the shame, the media attention. A stroke at 32 years old. Amelia wrote a letter by hand, asked Ryan to help check the original data files from the aircraft project years ago. When he opened the files, his heart constricted. Inside was evidence that Amelia had been pressured to sign his termination to cover for the CFO. She'd been manipulated, and Ryan was the indirect victim. He went silent. The anger drained away, replaced by something sadder. Pity. She'd been trapped too, just in a different cage. That night, Amelia was attacked at the hospital. A masked figure broke into her room. Ryan returned just in time, tackled the intruder. The man confessed. She knows too much. We had to clean up. Security detained him. Police were called. The attempted murder made everything more serious. Ryan stood over the would-be assassin, breathing hard, adrenaline still pumping. Who sent you? I'm not saying anything without a lawyer. You just tried to kill a woman in a hospital bed. Who sent you? The man stayed silent. But the police found messages on his phone, communications with someone high up in Aerosys, planning, payment arrangements. The conspiracy went deeper than anyone realized. Ryan looked at Amelia, pale in her hospital bed, shaking. This isn't over, he said. They'll try again. I know. You need protection, real protection. I can hire. No, you need someone you can trust. And there's about 3 people on earth you can trust right now. I'm one of them. She looked at him in disbelief. After what I did to you, you think I'm doing this for you? I'm doing it because Lily shouldn't grow up thinking revenge is the answer, that we abandon people when they need help. Even people who hurt us? Especially people who hurt us. That's what forgiveness actually means. Ryan picked up the knife that had fallen on the floor, said quietly, no one deserves to be buried alive, even someone who once buried me. Ryan and Amelia began working together. She helped him prove his innocence in the incident from years ago. Together, they traced the corruption network within Aerosys. At the top was James Vick, the former CFO who'd framed Ryan. Amelia secretly collected evidence through company accounts. Ryan used his engineering skills to recover deleted data from old servers. When they discovered internal emails proving James had taken bribes from military contractors, he sent people to eliminate them. Once again, Ryan saved Amelia in a parking garage. This time, he took a bullet in the shoulder. At the hospital, Amelia broke down. I took everything from you, and now you're risking your life for me? He looked at her. I'm doing this for Lily. I don't want her thinking hatred is the answer. The investigation took weeks. Ryan and Amelia worked from a safe house protected by police, piecing together 6 years of corruption. The data was damning. James Vick had approved substandard parts for the helicopter project, pocketing millions in kickbacks. When the crash happened, he'd orchestrated Ryan's firing to deflect blame. But more than that, he'd been embezzling from company funds, hiding losses through creative accounting, setting Amelia up to take the fall if anything went wrong. She'd been his puppet CEO, installed because she was young, ambitious, easy to manipulate. I was so stupid, she said, reviewing the evidence. You were used. There's a difference. I should have fought harder for you. Yeah, you should have, but you were scared. I understand that now. Does understanding mean forgiving? Ryan was quiet for a long time. I don't know yet, but it's a start. They delivered evidence to the police. Federal investigators got involved. The corruption went beyond Aerosys, touching defense contracts, government officials, a web of fraud. James was arrested at his estate. The perp walk was front-page news. The old case was reopened. Independent investigation cleared Ryan completely. Media called him the hero everyone forgot. His name was cleared, his reputation restored. 6 years too late. Amelia lost her CEO position. The board forced her out, needing someone without the taint of scandal, but public opinion supported her. She'd been brave enough to expose the system, brave enough to risk everything for truth. When she left the courthouse after giving testimony, Ryan was waiting. Brown jacket, wet with rain. Don't say thank you. I just hope you'll live differently now. She trembled, speaking for the first time in years with complete honesty. Ryan, thank you for not abandoning me. I didn't do it for you. I did it for me and for Lily. So she knows that being good isn't about feeling good. It's about doing right even when it hurts. Can I ever make this up to you? You can't. The past doesn't work that way, but you can build a better future. That's all anyone can do. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Later, a reporter asked Ryan how he felt about Amelia. She made a terrible choice 6 years ago, cost me everything, but she also chose truth when it mattered most. That counts for something. Do you forgive her? I'm working on it. Morning newspaper headline. Single dad engineer saves CEO and exposes corporate corruption. The man who chose mercy over revenge. 1 year later, Amelia opened a new company, Phoenix Aviation, specializing in rehabilitating civilian mechanical projects, rehiring people Aerosys had fired. Ryan worked as a part-time technical consultant, but refused all accolades. Lily often came to the office, played with Amelia, called her Miss Millie. One day, Amelia handed Ryan a contract. "You could be chief technical officer here." He smiled. "I promised to help, but I prefer teaching my daughter." The Phoenix launch event took place in the old warehouse, the same one that had collapsed. They'd rebuilt it, properly this time. Steel reinforced, up to code, safe. Amelia stood among the new steel beams, said, "From ashes, we rebuild not just structures, but trust." The company grew slowly but steadily, focused on quality over profit, transparency over convenience. Ryan's engineering improvements made their systems safer than anything Aerosys had produced. Word spread, contracts came. Lily became the unofficial mascot. She'd draw pictures for the engineers, bring cookies she'd baked, remind everyone what they were building for. "We're making things that help people, right, Dad?" "That's right, sweetheart. Then we have to make them really good, because people are important." The wisdom of children. One evening after everyone had gone home, Amelia found Ryan in the workshop working on a prototype. "You don't have to stay late. You're a consultant, not an employee." "I know, but this design isn't right yet. The balance is off." She watched him work. The same focus, the same dedication that had made him excellent 6 years ago. "I stole years from you. Your career, your wife, your peace, Walt. You did. Can that ever be forgiven?" He set down his tools, looked at her directly. "I don't know, honestly. Some days I think yes. Other days the anger comes back. Sarah died because of what happened. That doesn't go away." "I know. But Lily needs to see that people can be more than their worst moment. That growth is possible. That we don't have to be defined by our mistakes forever." "Is that for her or for you?" "Both. If you believe forgiveness is the greatest strength, type, 'I will live with honor.'" A few years later, Ryan lived peacefully with Lily. He wrote books about mechanics and taught volunteer classes. One morning, Amelia visited, bringing a design for a new helicopter. "I named it Hope 01. Want to try it?" He laughed. "Only if Lily comes along." Against the sunset sky, the helicopter took off, reflecting golden light on water below. Amelia said quietly, "If I hadn't met you that day, I might have died buried in darkness." He replied, "No, you were just waiting to be saved, like all of us." They flew over the city, over the rebuilt warehouse, over the life they had both reconstructed from ruins. Lily sat between them, headphones on, watching the world from above. "This is amazing," she said. "It is," Ryan agreed. "Miss Millie, did you really almost die?" "I did." "And Dad saved you?" "Yes." "That's what heroes do. They save people even when it's hard." Amelia looked at Ryan. "She's right, you know. You are a hero." "No, I'm just someone who chose the harder right over the easier wrong. Anyone can do that. But most people don't. Then most people need better examples." Final scene. Lily hung a wooden sign in the new workshop, carved with words, "Forgiveness is how we fly again." Closing symbol, from rubble, 3 people, a father, a girl, and a woman who'd made terrible mistakes, all resurrected, and all flying again. The sign became Phoenix Aviation's motto, a reminder that second chances aren't just possible, they're essential. Ryan never forgot what Amelia had done, never pretended it didn't hurt, never claimed forgiveness was easy, but he chose it anyway, day by day, moment by moment. Not for her, for himself, for Lily, for the future they were building. Ryan Cooper had every right to hate Amelia Cross. She'd destroyed his career with a signature. Her cowardice had contributed to his wife's death. She'd stolen years of his life, his peace, his reputation. She'd made him a pariah in the industry he loved. And when he found her buried alive under concrete and steel, he could have walked away. Let someone else save her. Let karma, fate, or justice run its course. No one would have blamed him, but he didn't, because revenge isn't justice, because hatred doesn't heal, because the best way to overcome evil is with persistent, stubborn good. That's not weakness, that's strength. Real bone-deep strength that most people will never understand. Amelia learned that power without integrity is hollow, that career success built on compromises means nothing when you can't sleep at night, that being brave isn't about never being afraid. It's about doing what's right even when you're terrified of the consequences. She'd been scared 6 years ago, scared of the board, scared of losing her position, scared of being seen as weak or incompetent. So she'd sacrificed Ryan to protect herself. It was the defining moment of her life, the choice that revealed who she was or who she'd been willing to become for power. And she spent 6 years living with that choice, living with the knowledge that she'd destroyed an innocent man's life, that her cowardice had costs she couldn't calculate, that blood was on her hands even if she'd never intended. Finding herself buried alive, rescued by the man she'd betrayed, forced her to confront all of it. No more running, no more rationalizing, just truth, raw and undeniable. Lily learned that people are complicated, beautifully and frustratingly complicated, that bad people can do good things and good people can make terrible mistakes, that the world isn't divided into heroes and villains, but into humans making choices, some better than others. She learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, doesn't mean pretending nothing happened, doesn't mean instant trust or reconciliation. It means choosing not to be poisoned by bitterness, choosing to release the hatred that binds you to pain, choosing freedom over vengeance. This story isn't about erasing the past. You can't undo what happened. Sarah is still dead. Those 6 years Ryan lost are still gone. The suffering can't be rewound. But you can choose not to be imprisoned by the past, not to let it define every day forward, not to hand your enemy permanent victory by letting their actions control your life forever. Ryan didn't forgive Amelia immediately. It wasn't a single moment of grace. It took time, struggle, conscious choice over and over and over again. Some days were easier than others. Some days he woke up and the anger was just a dull ache. Other days it was sharp and fresh as the day Sarah died. But each time he chose mercy over bitterness, he became freer. Each time he chose understanding over anger, he healed a little more. Each time he chose to see Amelia as human rather than monster, he reclaimed a piece of himself. That's the real power of forgiveness. It doesn't excuse what happened, doesn't erase consequences, doesn't mean trust is automatic or relationship is required. It releases you from being defined by what happened, breaks the chains that tie you to your worst moment, your deepest pain, your darkest rage. The phoenix rose from ashes. So did Ryan. So did Amelia. So did their ability to trust, to build, to hope again. So did possibility itself. Ryan rebuilt a career, rebuilt a reputation, rebuilt self-respect, not because Amelia gave those things back, but because he reclaimed them through his own choices, his own work, his own integrity. Amelia rebuilt her life on truth instead of convenience, lost the CEO position but gained something far more valuable. Her soul, her ability to look in the mirror without shame, her chance at redemption. You don't have to forgive everyone who hurts you. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. Some wounds are too deep, some betrayals too profound, some people too dangerous to allow back into your life. But consider this carefully. Holding on to hatred is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. The bitterness corrodes you from the inside. The anger becomes a prison you carry everywhere. Ryan understood that. Understood that his hatred of Amelia was hurting him far more than it hurt her. That by refusing to forgive, he was giving her continued power over his emotional life. That the only person his rage was destroying was himself. So he chose differently, not for her benefit, for his own, for Lily's, for the future he wanted to build instead of the past he wanted to escape. And it changed everything. Not immediately, not magically, but gradually, persistently, powerfully. This is the story we need to hear. That forgiveness is possible even when it seems impossible. that mercy can triumph over revenge, that love in the end is stronger than hate. Not because those are pleasant platitudes, but because they're truths that can literally save your life, save you from becoming what you hate, save you from a prison of your own making. Ryan saved Amelia's physical life that stormy night, but in choosing forgiveness, in choosing mercy, in choosing to remain who he was rather than become what she'd been, he saved his own soul. That's the real miracle of this story, not the rescue, the choice, the daily, difficult, deliberate choice to be better than the worst thing done to you. We all face smaller versions of Ryan's choice, people who hurt us, betray us, cost us something precious. And we have to decide, will we let that define us, control us, poison every day forward? Or will we choose something harder and higher? Will we choose freedom? Will we choose to break the cycle? Will we choose to fly again? The sign in Phoenix Aviation says it all. Forgiveness is how we fly again. From rubble to resurrection, from betrayal to breakthrough, from buried alive to rising renewed. That's the legacy. That's the lesson. That's the truth worth carrying forward. You can stay buried in bitterness or you can rise. The choice always is yours. If you believe in stories that touch the heart like this one, leave a comment and subscribe to Strong Dad Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten. Thank you for watching, and remember, forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the bravest, strongest, most liberating thing you can possibly do. Not for others, for yourself. Because you deserve to fly free, to live unshackled by hatred, to build a future not defined by past pain. That's the gift Ryan gave himself, and it's the gift available to each of us if we're brave enough to claim it. See you in the next story.